You go. Go for it.
So I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Actually, before I do that, let me pull up tonight's presentation very quickly. And we will get this show on the road.
Thank you guys for coming on Thursday, by the way, because we usually meet on Fridays from 4:30 to 5:30. So we have an extra special surprise this week. We got today and tomorrow. So you can make tomorrow. We'll be here at 4:30 tomorrow, and then we're giving away a free book on top of that. So Sophia and Isabel Jackie will send you yours personally.
Woohoo!
Okay, here we go. I lost you guys. Can you guys still see me? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, let me get back to my, there we go. Let me share my screen with you now. And here we are. Okay, now we got it. So I want to welcome everyone to our, I think what will be our final financial literacy course or series for this year, 2021. I have to say, since I haven't spoken to you guys in quite a while since our last segment, I have really missed you guys. I've been sitting over here working on many projects, but I always have you in my thoughts and in my mind, wondering what you're doing, wondering how well you're doing, wondering how you're adjusting to, I think many of you are back on campus in school now, so I'm pretty sure you have some interesting stories to tell as to how that process has been working for you guys. Hopefully you're excited about reconnecting with a lot of your friends that you probably were not able to see at the onset of the pandemic. So hopefully life is just a little bit more normal for you guys compared to how things were a year and a half ago. So for those who don't know what tonight's topic is going to be about, tonight's topic is going to be about how to acquire customers. And one thing that I want to encourage you guys to do before we go any further, I want to encourage you guys to take notes. That's very important. I want to encourage you guys to get some scratch paper going right now. And I want you to take as many notes as you possibly can, because I'm going to give you guys an opportunity at the end of today's segment to ask any question that you want related to business, or related to starting your own business, or related to how to get going. Maybe you have a question about what forms you need to fill out. If it's something that you can do on your own versus something that your parents are going to have to help you out with since you are under 18. I'm prepared to answer all those questions for you. So write down any questions that come to your mind, so that at the end of this, or when prompted, you guys will be able to ask those questions so that I can get you some answers before today's segment is over. So let me see if I can see who all is here. I don't want to open my window too big because I'm afraid to lose sight of you guys, but it's nice to see your smiling faces again. Those big Kool-Aid smiles from Sophia and Isabel are always a treat. And so before we dive into today's segment, I want to ask a question to Miss Sophia. If you can go ahead and unmute your microphone so that you and I can engage in some quick dialogue. So were you able to receive the gift bag that I got for you for your participation in the segment that we had last time? You had a bunch of goodies in there. You want to tell everybody what you got?
Well, last time I got like a little cake set. So it had like this icing along with the cake box. And then it also had some sprinkles and like little even cupcake holder things. I forgot what they're called.
The sprinkles?
Yeah. And then it also had a little oil canister thing. And
So you got it. So you got a ton of ingredients. You know, you had mentioned in one of our last trainings, I think it was either part 1 or part 2, that you had a passion for baking, right?
Yeah.
So because of your active participation in all of our segments at the beginning of this series, I just felt it necessary in my heart to bless you with a little care package so that you could experiment with your cake business, right? And you had enough ingredients to make yourself a cake, and you also had enough ingredients left over to make some cupcakes or something. So how did that process go? Did you test it out, number 1? And if you were able to make your cake and your cupcakes, were you able to pass it out to some of your friends and family to see how they would enjoy it?
Well, it was super fun, and my family definitely enjoyed it. Well, yeah, it was pretty fun to get it going and then, experiment with it.
Awesome. Very, very good. So based on how you were able to use those ingredients in that care package to experiment with basically perfecting your craft and your passion and your love for baking, as you were doing those things, did you really like visualize this really happening in your life for real at some point, that you could start your own catering business or your own cake decorating business if you just put your mind to it? I mean, were you able to see, like, get some new ideas to see what would work better for you versus what maybe wouldn't work as good for you? Like, were you thinking of those things along the process of baking your cakes and your cupcakes?
Oh, I was definitely thinking like how this was like a really fun experience, and that how I might be able, or I might want to do this when I grew up. And that when I was experimenting, I was or kind of like making mental notes in my head of did this work or not? Like if I added an ingredient, would it work or not? Or anything like that.
Awesome. And Miss Isabel, were you able to partake in some of the goodies?
Yeah, they were delicious.
Okay, that's your first customer review you got. They were delicious. So Yelp, here she comes. Yelp, look out. The next entrepreneur in the pastry industry. So I'm really glad that you were able to share some feedback for that, because this next time around, hopefully somebody else will be chosen to receive a care package. And let me say this before we really dive in and get started tonight. So Miss Adrian and I are already in agreement that for everybody on this Zoom call for financial literacy training, we want to encourage everyone's participation. So what we're going to do is we are going to review this at the end, and we are going to enter the names of each student into a drawing. The students who will be entered into this drawing are the students who appear to have the most engagement and the most participation. We really want to encourage you to participate. If you have questions to ask as I'm speaking, alert me somehow, let me know. I think you guys can send up likes and thumbs up and hearts and prayer hands and all those other emojis you use to communicate. So there you go. You can raise your hand emojis. So if I see a hand emoji, then I'll stop what I'm doing, or I'll backtrack a little bit so that I can answer your question. So the people who participate the most, your name is going to be entered into a drawing at the end of this segment. And then the next time we come on here and have another financial literacy training class, we are going to announce the winner of the name that was picked from that drawing. And I don't know what the prize is going to be yet, but it's going to be a really, really nice gift card that you can use to spend anywhere you want. So I just want to let you guys know that we encourage you to participate. And so hopefully you guys will be more engaged tonight than you ever have before. And the goal is to just make sure that you learn something new from this segment that you didn't learn at school. So before we get started, I would like to ask Sophia one more question. So from the part 1 training all the way to the part 2 training that we did, and then all the way up to when you experimented with baking your cake and just getting an idea of learning about what it takes to be an entrepreneur. Those things that I taught you in part 1 and part 2, are those things that you learned in school?
No, not at all.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I pretty much was expecting your answer to be no, but I just wanted to confirm it. I didn't want to put words in your mouth. So I'm glad to hear you say that, because a lot of what I'm teaching you guys, you're not going to learn in school. School is going to teach you how to basically take on tasks that you're going to be given either by an employer or by a professor as you get into college and things like that, into higher grades. And it's basically going to teach you how to be a well-rounded human being so that you can get yourself into, you know, the desired career field that you want. And so the purpose of these financial literacy training courses is to help you understand at a very young age the difference between working for someone versus working for yourself. Okay, that is the primary goal of me sharing these tips and principles with you, is so that when you turn 18 and when you graduate from high school, you're not pounding the concrete day after day after day, or submitting applications online to basically work for somebody else. Because working for someone else, if you're in a career field that you really enjoy and that you have a passion for, I mean, it's very admirable to work hard to achieve that. But working for yourself and being in business for yourself and being your own boss is like a night and day difference compared to working for somebody else. Because when you're working for somebody else, you're building somebody else's empire, and you're building it the way that they want you to build it. When you're working for yourself, you're building your own empire the way you want to build it, with the rules and regulations that you make up for your own company, right? And so that is what I'm trying to teach you here with these financial literacy segments. So we're going to start off by doing a little bit of reading. And I'm going to start the first slide off. And I'm going to start with, I'll read the first bullet point, and then we'll go around and you guys can take turns reading a little bit as well. So the first thing I would like to ask you guys, and if you have an answer prepared for this, just hit the little raise your hand emoji so I can call on you. And then you guys can give me an answer to this question, but everybody will get an opportunity to say something. So Isabel, do you feel like the COVID-19 pandemic has created a level of fear in you that has discouraged your outlook on your future opportunities? Would you say you feel that? Or how has the COVID-19 pandemic made you feel overall? Like, how have you been handling it?
Overall, no. I mean, I'm still kind of wary about getting close to other people. But overall, my outlook on the future is has not been discouraged. I still feel pretty confident, and I still feel like I can do something with my life. So I still feel pretty positive about my future.
Excellent. So you're not letting the hype of the pandemic get you down. You know, there's a lot of, you know, whether you're watching TV or you're looking at stuff on social media, I mean, you really can't get around hearing something about the COVID-19 pandemic. And it sounds like you've been a real trooper in not letting it get you down to the point where you're taking your focus off of your dreams and your goals. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, if anything, it's kind of encouraged it because I love to read, and so I'd like to do something in reading as well, so I get more time to read.
There you go. Excellent. Excellent. Very good. Miss Sophia, how about you? Do you feel like the COVID-19 pandemic has created a level of fear in you that has discouraged you in any way or discouraged your outlook on your future opportunities?
Same thing as Isabel. It's not really like discouraged me, especially since like what I like to do, I can do like more when I'm at home, which is baking. So same thing. I'm still pretty confident in my future, especially with my passion, and I'm
Good.
still able to practice it even now.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear both of you guys give that positive feedback, and I want to encourage you guys to continue your pursuit of pursuing the things that you have on your agenda to pursue, regardless of what's going on in the world. One thing I want you guys to remember, and you may want to write this down in your notes as something that you can come back and refer to later: time waits for no one. Time will not stand still until the perfect opportunity presents itself to you. Time is going to move forward no matter what. So it's really good that at such a young age, it's really good to hear you guys adjusting the way that you have, because a lot of other students in your grade level have not been doing so well, and they are discouraged and they are depressed, and they do have emotional triggers that basically make them give up on the pursuit of whatever their dream was. So I applaud you guys for not letting anything get in the way of your dream. So the next point is, what are the top 3 things you are most passionate about doing with your life in the future? I see you smiling, Isabel, so I'm going to call on you first. What are the top 3 things you are most passionate about doing with your life in the future? As far as creating a business for yourself, what do you feel like the top 3 things you're passionate about? And if you don't have 3, if you only have 2, that's fine. I just want to get your brain firing on all cylinders so that you can think outside the box a little bit.
I like reading and writing, and I also like a little bit of biology. So I could either go for creating my own publishing company, or creating my own medical business where I work there as a doctor.
Wow, very good. The reason I said wow is because I feel like you took a sneak peek at my notes. Like somehow I feel like you got a hold of my notes and you jumped ahead to something that I have in some later slides that we're going to see a little bit later. So I won't talk too much about that, but very good, very good. Sophia, if you would be so kind to read the next bullet point.
Do you have, or what have you always dreamed of doing once you become an adult?
Tell us about those dreams, Sophia. You're gonna be an adult one day. What's your first order of business gonna be?
It's hard because there's a bunch of things that you can do as an adult, although also some things that you can't do. I don't know, maybe drive.
Drive. Okay. And when you get your car and everyone knows you have a car and you know how to drive really good, you're gonna get tired of taking people places everywhere you go. So that'll be short-lived, trust me. But okay, that's one. Do you have another one?
I don't know, kind of related to this, like starting my own company or, something that I like to do. Yeah.
Since we started part 1 of these financial literacy segments, has starting your own company, do you find that has been on your mind more and more and more and more based on what you're learning about how to be financially literate? Do you find that? Do you find that you think about it more frequently
Definitely, especially how you pointed out that we can create like our own business out of something that we like to do. So if I'm finding something that I like to do, and then it kind of pops into my head like, oh, this could be like something that I do when I'm older, and can apply there.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Very good. Miss Isabel, what do you think is your biggest fear about one day becoming an entrepreneur, meaning your own boss? Do you even have a fear? Are you confident that you can just step out on faith and do it? Do you have some reservations? Like, how do you feel? Like if you were turning 18 today, right? And you had an opportunity to step out and open up your own business, what would be your biggest fear about becoming your own boss?
I think I'd have two. One would be putting everything on the line and losing, or not being a good enough boss and like making it all fail.
Okay, that's very good. That's a very good response. And because you responded that way, I want to share a couple of key points that I want you to write down some notes on, because I want you to always have something to remember my response by in response to what you just said. So the first thing I want you to remember, Isabel, is that failure is a necessary ingredient for success. And once you understand that concept, little by little, the more and more you come into that understanding, your fear is going to be taken away more and more and more as you continue on your journey of being your own boss. And another thing I want you to know, most people who start a business for the very first time will fail within the first 1 to 4 years. So now that you know that, I don't ever want you to allow fear to prevent you from moving forward, because I'm already telling you, in some area of how you planned out your business is going to fail in one of those areas within the first 1 to 4 years. But it's up to you to decide if that failure is going to take you out the game and make you quit and make you give up and say, this isn't for me, or if you're going to use how that failure makes you feel, you can use that feeling of failure to be gasoline to put in your vehicle to race you to the next point. It's all in how you handle it. No business out there, I don't care if it's a Fortune 500 company or if I don't care if it's a company that just started yesterday. There's not a business out there right now that does not have some level of failure somewhere in the company. So you are no exception. You're going to fail. Get ready for it. But the key that I want you to remember is when you realize you're failing, I want you to use that failure as motivation to push you to the next level. And in order to get there, you have to make a commitment to never quit. I was told a story once about Colonel Sanders. You know who Colonel Sanders is, right? The guy's face you see on all the Kentucky Fried Chicken buckets. So that's Colonel Sanders. So when I was much younger, I was told that when he tried to get his restaurant going, he was turned down so many times, the average person would have quit years ago. He just kept getting turned down and turned down and turned down and turned down. And now there's a KFC in almost every city in America, in every state, and in some countries too, all because somebody didn't quit on their dream. And that could be you one day. So I just want to create that possibility so that you remember that when you hit that adversity or when you hit those challenges, keep pushing forward, because you don't care how many people say no to you and turn you down. All you care about is going through the numbers and getting past all the people who are going to say no until you get to that one person who's going to give you a break and say yes. And that one person who says yes is going to make you smile almost like you just did right now. So that's what you're going for. You're going for the yeses. And you're going to have to weed people out along the way. But that's a whole nother segment that we'll dive into when you guys start getting a little better with all these things that we're talking about. So I really like your answer. I really like your feedback. How would you answer that same question, Sophia? What is your biggest fear? Or do you have one? What is your biggest fear about one day becoming an entrepreneur and calling your own shots?
It was kind of the same thing as Isabel, like the fear of failing. You know, but I guess that kind of helped with that fear, because you said failure's part, or like it will always happen when you try, or as part of the success part. So yeah.
So if you guys have some scratch paper in front of you, I want you to write this down. I want you to write this word down like I'm going to tell you. So the first thing I want you to write is false. I want you to write the word false. And then right underneath the word false, I want you to write the word evidence. Got it? Okay. Go to the next line. Underneath the word evidence, I want you to write the word appearing. Appearing. Got it? So I want you to go to one more line beneath that, and I want you to write the word real. Sophia, using only the first letters of each word that I gave you, from top to bottom, I want you to read the first letter and tell me what that word spells.
F-E-A-R, fear.
Fear. So now when you become afraid of something or you become fearful, I want you to know that fear is an inborn photographic image of your imagination. I just proved it to you. Fear is false evidence appearing real. And if you don't believe that the evidence is real, it makes it even more false, because you're not giving in to the fear. Are you following me? Fear can be a good thing, but it could be a bad thing too. But with regard to you chasing your dreams, I never want you to allow fear to dictate your progress along your journey, because there are going to be times that you will be fearful, but those are the times that you need to keep pushing forward. Just like I told Isabel a few minutes ago, failure is a necessary ingredient for success. You can't succeed until you fail. So get all your failures out of the way as fast as you can so that you can keep on moving forward. And then you're going to see a drastic turnaround in your progress of what you're trying to achieve. You're going to see things start to happen for you, right? So always remember that fear is false evidence appearing real. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Understanding the consumer marketplace, or the consumer market. Isabel, can you read this slide for me?
Hey, Dameon,
Yes.
I sent you a chat. Can you see it?
I'm sorry?
I sent you a chat. Can you see a question?
I do not see a chat.
You can't see, okay, because your screen has the presentation in it, but I wanted to remind you there's a Mari and Miley here too.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can open up my
That's okay. It's because I know Mari has the same
let me see, because I'm trying to enlarge my screen to see who else is
who
here.
is there. Oh, okay, because you probably only see those two.
Yeah, I'm glad you
I wanted you to engage with everyone. So that
yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because Sophia and Isabel and Jacqueline are the only people I see. I also see,
okay.
I also see Miley.
Okay.
Is Miley there? I don't see, I see someone named Miley.
Okay, and then there's Imari. She has the STEM. She's using my phone, so you'll see two STEM accounts.
Oh, okay. I do see two STEM accounts.
Yeah.
I don't see an image of anyone, but I'm glad
Yeah.
you pointed that out to me.
Yeah.
So let's have Mari, Mari, if you can hear me, let's have Mari read this this slide right here, please.
Okay. Before you wait, understanding consumer what? Oh, understanding the consumer market.
Mhm.
Before you make a decision to sell your products or services to the general public, you must first have a vivid and detailed understanding of what industry you're most passionate about. It is also important that you have a solid knowledge your your products or services so that you can be prepared to answer any and all questions that your potential customers may ask you.
Correct. So if you look at the image on the slide, you see at the top some lovely ladies talking to a sales associate, looking at some denim shirts, and then below that looks like a little, maybe a neighborhood coffee shop where somebody's walking in to make a quick purchase of some goods in the cafe. So as a business owner, what this slide is really teaching you guys is that you already know in your mind right now what type of business or what type of industry you want to go into when you're old enough to run your own company, or when you're old enough to even try to get started with getting your own business off the ground. You already have an idea of what that is, right? So in order to build a very good relationship with your customers, it's really important that you have a very detailed knowledge of the product that you're selling to people or the services that you're selling to people, because when people come to you as potential customers, you're going to need to be able to explain to them what you offer and why they should buy your product over other products that may be sitting on the shelf right next to it, right? So I'll give you guys an example. So earlier this year, for those of you who may not know, some of you do know. So earlier this year, I was thinking about I was thinking about the fact that even though I have a degree, a bachelor's degree in business management, being a single parent, if anything were to ever happen to me, right, my kids could not benefit or live off my degree because I earned that for me. My degree is not going to give them an opportunity to make any type of money or income to take care of themselves as they get older. And so I thought to myself, if I create a business for them at a very young age, I mean, they're only in middle school, but if I create a business for them and teach them as I go how to run the business, once they turn 18 years old, rather than rushing out to go get a job somewhere and take orders from somebody the rest of their life, they will inherit, keyword inherit, they will inherit a thriving company that is already established. Are you guys following me? So if anything were to ever happen to your parents right now, God forbid anything ever happens to your parents, you know, you would be left behind. And your parents might have a master's degree in communication. They may have a PhD in criminal law or civil litigation or something like that. But if something were to happen to them, you can't inherit their degree and use it to get yourself through life. It's just not possible. But if your parents own a very big company, then if something happened to your parents, God forbid, then you would be able to maybe inherit a portion of their company, if not inherit the entire company, right? So that's how those types of things work. So just to give you an example, when I started this juice business for my sons, we started this in April, like right around the beginning of April. In less than 3 months, we were offering juices to people that we created, that we made ourselves, right? Original products. We were offering juices to people in 12 different cities in under 3 months. So I don't say that to impress you. I say that to impress upon you that you can absolutely accomplish whatever it is in your mind that you wish to accomplish, but you have to be committed to doing what it's going to take to get you to the next level. And that's what this is. So based on this slide that Mari just read, we knew that when we created this juice business, right, customers were going to want to know, hey, what's in your juice? What are the ingredients? How does this ingredient benefit my health, right? So I had to be prepared to answer all those questions, because if I didn't answer those questions correctly, that customer is not going to be very confident that I have enough knowledge of my own product to be able to sell it to them, right? So they're going to go somewhere else. They're going to go buy their juice from another competitor that also sells juice, right? So once you have an opportunity to obtain a customer, you hold on to that customer for as long as you possibly can. And you have to have a knowledge of your product and your service, or your customer is going to go somewhere else. Everybody got that? Okay, Mari, let's have you read another slide. Let's have you read another slide. So our next slide is, I'm going to be showing you guys some examples of how to turn your passions into profits. Mari, if you could read the slide starting at the top.
All right. Hairstylist. If you love styling hair for people, I want you to dream of owning your own hair salon in the future. It is absolutely possible. Computers. If you love working with computers or gaming, I want you to dream of owning your own computer service or PC consulting company. It is absolutely possible. Writer. If you have a passion for writing, I want you to dream of becoming a published author or even a popular songwriter who writes for recording artists. It is absolutely possible. Medicine. If you have a passion for helping sick or terminally ill patients, I want you to dream of being America's next top physician in the world. It is absolutely possible. And disclaimer, no matter what your passion is and no matter what challenges life gives you, never dreaming and working hard to reach your goals. #dreams.
So I don't remember if it was Isabel or if it was Sophia. Do you see now what I was talking about a couple of slides ago when you said something about medicine, right? Who was that? Was that Isabel or Sophia? That was Isabel. So Isabel, that bullet point was meant for you. And I'm very proud of the fact that I included that, because I literally had no idea that you even had an interest in medicine. And so when we wrap this training session up and you watch this back on the replay, I want you to research everything that you need to research in order to make that dream for you an absolute reality. And if you look at the end of each bullet point, I'm just reiterating to you guys that whatever you come up with, it is absolutely possible. It is absolutely possible for you to achieve it. You can achieve whatever you set in your mind to achieve. The only person who can keep you from achieving it is you. So if it's something that you want to pursue and you're hungry enough to achieve it, you're going to stop at nothing until you win at getting it. Am I right? So another thing that I thought was important to put in this slide was, if you pay attention to the photo on the far right, many of you know that I come from, the entertainment industry at a very young age. Like when I was 19 or 20 is when I got into the entertainment business for the first time. And from then to now, my all-time, like hands down favorite actor is Denzel Washington. Like straight up. Like, it's not even a conversation. And I thought for what we were going to be talking about tonight, if you notice the bullet points, I capitalized the word dream because of everything that I said to you in each bullet point. I just want you to remember, no matter what you have to deal with from day to day, I want you to never, ever stop dreaming. There's so many adults walking the face of this earth today who are not where they want to be in life because at some point in time, they stopped dreaming. Maybe they got too busy at work. Maybe they spent years and months working a lot of overtime, and by the time they get home, they're tired and they're sleepy and they're fatigued, and they just want to sit around and be couch potatoes and play on social media and, you know, pursue things that are not bringing them any gratification or not allowing them to grow the way they may want to grow in their life. And so in each bullet point that I put up there of possibilities for you guys, the main thing is to remember to dream. Don't ever become so busy in your life that you forget to dream. Because when you forget to dream, you have nothing else to shoot for. It's over. You're just watching the grass grow in your life. That's all you're doing with your time, is just watching the numbers on the clock change. And you're wasting away time that you could be using to be more productive to help you reach your goals. So I like this quote from Denzel that he says, dreams without goals remain dreams. That's all they are. And basically what he's saying is, if you have dreams that you one day hope to achieve, but there's never any action behind those dreams or those goals, that's all they're going to be, is dreams and goals. They're never going to materialize into anything other than that. So I want you guys to remember that. Thank you, Mari, for reading that slide. I see the name of somebody named Miley. Miley, are you there? Whoever's using the name Miley Beckham, are you there? Can you hear me? Adrian, is there somebody else, or Jacqueline, is there somebody else in the group that I can't see on my screen that you want to remind me of? I only see it.
That's it. Miley could be just shy, so you could
Okay.
probably, yeah, just
Okay, no
talk to
problem.
the ones that are willing.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
So I'm going to read this next slide, unless somebody else wants to volunteer. So this time, rather than call on somebody to read the next slide, I'm going to let you guys raise your hand after I'm done with this slide. You can raise your hand and volunteer to read the next slide if you wish. And the first hand I see is the one that I'm going to call on. So if you fail to plan, then plan to fail. And that's something that you guys can actually write down on your scratch paper. That's, you know, so many authors and so many speakers and entertainers even have used this quote: if you fail to plan, then plan to fail. It's very true. Starting your own business, it takes a lot of planning and it takes a lot of commitment. And that's what this slide is about. It's all about planning and execution. So starting at the top, before you take the first steps in deciding what the nature of your business will be, it is important to write out your business plan on paper so that you can have a daily reminder of the things that you will need to have in place before you launch your business. I want you to imagine the words planning and development as synonyms to the words bow and arrow. Right? Let me read that again. I want you to imagine the words planning and development as being synonymous to the words bow and arrow. Okay? In order for an arrow to hit its target, the archer must aim the arrow at the target and focus on hitting it. So in order to see your business grow, planning is as relevant to aiming as bow is as relevant to development. Are you guys following me? So they're synonymous, they're the same. The bow is what creates an opportunity for energy to build up behind the arrow so that when the arrow is released, it has enough power and thrust to hit its target. That's why the bow is important. The arrow is what gets you to the goal. So let me use another example. Let's say Isabel and I, okay, Isabel, for the sake of this example, you're 18, you know how to drive, you have a driver's license, and you're a seasoned driver, okay? And we're gonna race, okay? So you guys stay with me, pay attention to this, because this is very critical, and you can use this example in other places of your life too when you feel like you're stuck. So Isabel and I are gonna race. We're gonna race for 1 mile on a straight road, on a straight highway. I'm driving a Ferrari, and Isabel is driving a Prius, okay? And we're gonna race for 1 mile. So ready, set, go. We're racing. Who do you think is gonna win to the finish line? Me or Isabel? Anybody can answer. Sophia, who's gonna win? The Ferrari or the Prius?
I don't know much about cars.
Anybody want to take a stab at it? Mari, how about you? Who do you think is going to win, the Ferrari or the Toyota Prius?
The Ferrari.
The Ferrari. It's going to win because it's a faster car, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so watch this. So we raced 1 mile and I won because I'm driving the Ferrari. Now we're going to switch cars and race back. So now Isabel's driving the Ferrari and I'm driving the Toyota Prius, and we're going to race 1 mile back the way we came. Sophia, who's going to win?
Isabel?
Correct. Isabel's going to win because she's now driving the Ferrari. So I use that example so that you guys can be able to measure your progress, because when you start this process, you're going to get stuck somewhere. You're going to feel like quitting. You're going to feel like you're not making any progress, right? For whatever's going to be happening in your life. I want you to have the mindset of the person who's driving the Ferrari. Because if you have the mindset of the person who's driving the Ferrari, you know at some point in time, you're going to win. Because you're in the faster car. See, it has nothing to do with you. Success has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with the vehicle you're in to get you where you're going. So I don't want you to have a Toyota Prius mindset. I want you to have a Ferrari and a Lamborghini mindset. You get it? Has nothing to do with you. Has nothing to do with where you come from. Has nothing to do with how much money you have. Has nothing to do with the type of family background you have. It just has to do with the vehicle you're using to get you where you're going. So I want you to remember that, okay? So the last thing I'm going to read is at the bottom. When striving to become successful in any business venture, it's all about planning and execution. Now that you have a better understanding of what needs to go into the planning stages of your business, now it's time to focus on executing your plan. I put not, but it's a typo. It should say now. Now it's time to focus on executing your plan. So remember, whatever your goal is, write it out on paper, plan it, and execute it. Once you reach that particular goal, you go to the next goal, and then you plan it, and then you execute it. Same thing, Sophia, when you started baking your cakes and your cupcakes, you already had a vision before you got the supplies. So once you got the supplies in your hand, it was a matter of planning what you were going to do and then executing it, right? Every goal that you have has to be planned and sought that way. Plan it out and then execute it. So we're almost at the end of our time. So I'm gonna speed to I'm gonna speed through the next couple of slides. So we talked about some of this in part 1 and part 2 of our financial literacy courses at the beginning. Who will be my customers? And when you're deciding who your customers are going to be, you're going to find that you're going to have customers in your warm market, and you're going to be able to find customers in your cold market. And I'm going to give you a breakdown. I already gave you a breakdown right here of what a cold market is in comparison to a warm market. So your warm market customers are your close friends, your family members, your classmates, your neighbors that you've known for a long time, your parents' coworkers. You know, many of you probably have had fundraisers at school where you had to sell tickets to some program, or you had to sell a box of chocolates or something like that. Well, you can only do so much on your own. So when you want to show up to class the next day with the most sales, what do you do with that box of candy? You give it to your parents so that they can take it to work, right? And sell all your candy, because people in the office love candy, right? So because those customers know your parents, those also are people who are a part of your warm market, because there's a relationship there, right? Even church members, friends of mutual friends you might share with on social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. Your cold market customers are basically people that you really don't know that well. So many times I pulled up to a gas station to get gas, and there's some kid standing in between the gas pumps with a box of candy, or like a giant duffel bag full of cookies and sweets and a bunch of stuff that many of us don't need, right? That's a total stranger to me, and I'm a total stranger to him. So if he was trying to sell me something, I would be considered a cold market customer, because he doesn't know me. So that would basically just be random people in your neighborhood, people you might meet at a birthday party or a holiday event, or just total strangers. So know who you're going to be presenting your product or your service to. I would always recommend that you start off with people that you know, because the more you talk to people that you know about the business venture that you're going to do, the better you're going to get at talking with people. People who you don't know and they're total strangers, and you walk up to them for the first time asking them if they want to buy your cupcakes or buy a slice of a cake that you just made, they don't know you, so they're already keeping you at a distance because they want to know why you're approaching them. So if you approach them not knowing what you're talking about, you lost a customer. If you do that to your aunt or your uncle that you haven't seen in 2 or 3 years, they don't care if you mess up. They don't care if it seems like you don't know what you're talking about. They're going to support you anyway because you're their niece, right? And then I put a little script down here in this bullet point, which is basically something that you guys can use as a tool. And I want you to practice saying this. You could practice saying it in the mirror. You could practice saying it to some of your friends at school. You could practice on your mom and dad, whoever, right? But I want you to practice saying, hey, can you please do me a huge favor? When you ask someone to do you a huge favor, don't say anything else. Wait for a response. Wait for somebody to say, yes, what can I do for you? Or what is it? Just wait for any response that they give you, right? And once you get a response, I want you to say to them, can you please try out my product or service and tell me what you think about it, right? Again, wait for a response. Because when you tell somebody that you want to know what they think about it, guess what? You're feeding their ego already, because people already can't wait to tell you what they think about everything. Even if you don't ask them, they want you to know what they think about it, right? You know a few people like that in your family already. That's why you're smiling. So go to somebody who you feel is going to give you an honest opinion. So Sophia, next time you make a cake, or next time you bake some cookies, or maybe you try to make a pie that you're trying for the first time or whatever, when you give it to somebody, tell them you want their honest feedback. And then as you get feedback from them, you know, you can ask them different questions that you can make up on your own. If I sold you this slice of cake for $2, would you buy it? Like, does it taste good enough to sell it? Those are things you need to know, because That's part of your planning and development. If somebody is giving you feedback that your product or your service is not really that good, you want to know from them why they feel it's not that good so that you can further develop your idea and perfect it. And once you perfect it, you move on to a new customer or a new family member and say, hey, can you please do me a huge favor? Can you please try my product or service and tell me what you think about it now? Right? You made some changes to it. So now tell me what you think about it now. And then you're going to get 100%. You're going to get some 100% feedback. And that feedback is important through every step of your business, because that feedback you get is an opportunity to either keep doing what you're doing or to find out what you need to change and make it better. Right? So now you guys have an idea of who your customers are going to be. So if you look at this slide, you guys, you'll see a couple of people in the background, you know, working on writing down some notes. They're planning, they're developing an idea, they're perfecting it, right? These are all bosses. So although you see these people in this slide, I want you to see these people as yourself. I want you to look at these pictures as yourself, working on a business that you're going to launch pretty soon, right? And while I'm talking to you guys about this, another thing, I want you to write this down. Mari, I can't see you, but I want you to write this down too. So I want you to write down that the first quarter of every new year is the best time to gain momentum for your business. The first quarter of every new year is the best time to gain momentum for your business. So let's use this juice example again that I gave you. So like I told you, I created a juice company for my sons when they get older, right? We did very well this year. We did very, very well this year. So because we did so well this year, the goal for 2022 is to do even better. And so we're already starting to move into the planning and development stage for what we're going to do next year. Because between January, February, March, and April of next year, those first 4 months of the new year are going to be our most critical time to make an impact on higher revenue, on earning higher revenue for the company. So that means within the first 4 months, whatever ideas you planned out, you have 4 months to execute that plan as rigorously and as quickly and aggressively as possible, because whatever your results are going to be for that first 4 months of the new year, that's probably going to be the same momentum that is going to carry you throughout the remainder of 2022. So if you want 2022 to be a successful year in whatever business you're planning, you have to make sure that from January to the end of April, you just go hard in the paint and execute every plan that you came up with. And then you'll be able to measure what's working and what's not working, right? So I want you guys to remember that. The first quarter of every year is the most critical year in measuring the momentum that a business will have to carry them through the year. And you guys will see that come January 1st, starting at the new year, you're going to see on social media, you're going to hear it on the radio, you're going to see it on TV commercials. People are going to be advertising new products and new services, and they're going to advertise it so frequently, you're going to get sick and tired of listening to it. When you get sick and tired of listening to it, that's what will give you an example of what momentum is. You're getting sick and tired of hearing it because they're going hard in the paint, and they're engraving it in your brain so that you can eventually get so sick and tired of hearing it that you finally shut your radio off and your TV off and you just run to the store and buy whatever they're selling because you're curious about it, right? And that's why I told you guys a few slides ago that you have to have knowledge of the product or service that you're selling, because When a potential customer sees that you really don't understand what you're talking about and you're trying to get them as a customer, they get confused. And when a customer's confused, they don't buy. So whatever you put out there, make sure that when you say it to your customer, that you're saying it to them in a very clear and concise manner so that they understand exactly what your product or your service is all about. Okay? Did you get that, Mari? Are you still with us?
Yeah.
Awesome. I think we're almost to the end. Mari, I'm going to have you read this last slide. Actually, I want you to just read the information on the left side, if you would.
Okay. The only thing more important than acquiring a customer is keeping a customer, regardless of if your customer is a friend, family member, or a total stranger. Your primary responsibility as a business owner is to seize every opportunity available to you to build and maintain a strong business relationship with each and every one of your customers. Your customers are the backbone of your business. Without a customer, your business cannot and will not survive. Now let's take a look at some creative ways to obtain and maintain your customers as you begin your journey to begin being your own boss.
Okay, and I'm going to start at the top with Isabel. Isabel, if you could read the first 2 bullet points on the right side, please.
Send out email blasts, social media posts, and even promo flyers to let your potential customers know important information about your product and services. Choosing the right tools is extremely important to the success of your business plan. Making sure you research all of the necessary tools you will need to get your business up and running. Start small and think big.
Thank you, ma'am. Sophia, if you could read the last 2 bullet points, please.
Reminder notifications that you create will help you stay consistent with following up your customers to see how they are enjoying your product or service. Always take the time to make your customers feel like they are the most valuable person in the world. Taking time to always make your customers feel valued and appreciated will spark positive growth in your business.
Awesome. Thank you, my dear. Ladies and me, that concludes today's session. I have absolutely enjoyed my time with you guys, as I always do. So now what I'd like to do is open this up to you guys to find out if you guys have any more questions or concerns based on what I talked to you about tonight. Does anybody have any questions on something that they want me to explain a little bit better, or was I maybe talking too fast at a certain point? Now's the time where you can ask me any question you want. Miley, would you like to ask a question? Miss Jackie, would you like to ask a question? Somebody has a question. I'm not gonna let y'all go that easy. Somebody is sitting back there with a question. So if you want to know the
yes,
answer,
I'm gonna ask a question.
Okay, fire away.
What is the name of your juice business?
So the name of my son's juice business is called Joe Beverage Company. So because my sons are twins and their names are Justin and Jordan, I wanted to create a company name that they could share equally so that there wouldn't be no fussing and fighting when they turn 18 and say, well, Dad named the company after me, right? No, Dad did not name the company after you. Dad named the company after both of you. So I took the first 2 letters of each of their name, and that's how I came up with Joe Beverage Company. And so when they turn 18 years old, the company will be transferred out of my name into their name. and they will become business owners overnight. And although I know they can't benefit from the degree that I earned, I know that me passing on a company to them that's thriving can carry them a very great distance in their adult life. And so it's all about generational wealth. It's all about, make sure that whatever business venture you guys create for yourself, and you're not limited to just one business that you can create. You can have multiple businesses. I have a publishing company, as you can see in the background. I have a publishing company. I write books. I'm a songwriter. I'm a life coach, right? I work with you guys. I manage a juice business that is still very brand new and still evolving. And I'm a single parent. So I have a lot of jobs, right? So I always want you guys to remember that there's no limit to how many businesses you can have. And let me tell you something in regards to what I just said. Write this down, because I want you guys to research this person's business ventures. I want you to research all the businesses that are owned by Magic Johnson. I can't think of a greater example of an entrepreneur who has multiple businesses under his belt, right? That have become very, very profitable and successful companies. So when you guys get some spare time, research Magic Johnson and all the businesses that he's ever owned. And for any parents that are listening right now also, I really encourage you parents to really talk to your children about what they're learning on these financial literacy segments, because at some point in time, they're going to need your help. They're going to need you to go to the grocery store with them and buy supplies for them so that they can keep practicing their craft. They're going to need you to take them down to Office Depot or Staples to buy some office supplies that they're going to need, specialty items that you will never find in a regular store, right? You're going to need to go with them to a place like that so that they can get specific types of organizers or notebooks or certain types of pens and pencils if they want to get involved with art or something like that. So I really am urging every parent in the sound of my voice to find out what your children are passionate about and help them reach that goal of getting their business off the ground. It can be done. And for anybody who doesn't know how to do it, all you have to do is reach out to Miss Jacqueline or reach out to Miss Adrian, who facilitate these training sessions. And you can get in touch with me through them. I will help you. I will walk you through how to show your children how they can shelter themselves, or how you can shelter them. Since you're adults, you can shelter them in a specific tax bracket so that they can earn back some of the money that they're going to have to spend to get their business off the ground. It's basically just the principle of return on investment. If you don't set up your business the right way in the beginning, you won't really have a return on the back end because you didn't take care of something on the front, and you could probably get into a lot of trouble with the federal government or with the state franchise tax board. So I don't recommend that to anybody. So if you guys need my help to get your kid's business off the ground, I'm more than willing to help facilitate that. So with that being said, I miss you guys. I'm happy to see you. I'm grateful that you were able to tune in to tonight's segment. I probably won't be seeing you the rest of the year on here for the financial literacy trainings. We won't resume those until next year. But there is one or two more events coming up that are in-person events that I may likely see you guys at if you're registered to attend those events. So again, parents, thank you for allowing your children to be on here with me, teaching them principles, wealth principles that they're never going to learn at school. They're never going to learn at school. The only thing they're going to learn at school is how to get good grades so that they can get a good job and so that they can get out in the workforce and build somebody else's empire for pretty much a good chunk of their life. And so these training sessions give them an opportunity to build their own empire in their free time. So again, I thank you guys. God bless you. Stay safe. I hate this part because it's the part where I say goodbye to you guys, but we won't say goodbye tonight. We'll just say see you next time.
Yes. Thank you, Dameon, as always, right? And his juices are good, by the way.
So if you guys
Thanks for
want to
sharing.
follow, the Instagram page for my son's juice company, you can follow them at Jujo Beverage. That's at JUJO Beverage. And you can follow them and you can see all of the pictures that we've put up there. You can see all of our juices that we've created. And you can see for yourself that in the beginning of when we started posting pictures, you're only going to see probably like about maybe 7 or 8 different juices that people ordered. But as you continue to research our page, you'll see that many of those orders of 10 or 11 juices turned into orders of 25 and 30 juices per order. So nobody's going to be ordering that many juices if they're not getting a health benefit from it. So you guys check it out for yourself. If you don't already have a social media page, please ask your parents' permission so that you don't get in trouble.